All right, so what we're basically doing is we're going to be building one of those waterfall epoxy tables. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is the point where I'm going to put in some pictures. So, all right, so you see what I'm talking about. Now, what we're starting off with here is your basic melamine. Now, this one's 28 by 40, and the easiest way to start is you have to wrap it in tape. Aha. So here's the tape. So we're going to wrap it in some tape. We'll start with that. And we'll check back in a minute. Okay, so as you can see, we've basically got it covered with just your typical masking tape. We would like to use Tyvek tape, but that stuff can be a little hard to find. And as you can kind of see here, it ain't 100% perfect. If you want to take the time to make it perfect, that's great. But it's a matter of, I'm going to have to sand a little more on the bottom because all these lines are going to end up showing up in the epoxy. Not the end of the world because this is going to be the base plate, which means it's the bottom. So it'll just be a little more sanding later. So let's get ready to start moving on to the next part. All right, so bear with me. It's a little bit windy outside. We're going to do a little cutting. What we're making right now is the 3-inch border strips to go around the larger piece that we just had earlier for the molding. Sorry, I had to stop and eat a little breakfast. And it looks like my battery charger died, so hopefully we have enough power to get this done. And let's all take a look. Well, hello, hello. So we're back. Now it's time for us to attach the side pieces. I didn't show everything on camera, but obviously I've taped everything down with the masking tape per the instructions on YouTube, so thank you for everybody whose video I watched. Now, a corner joiner would be really helpful right about now, but we don't have one. And like I said, we're working on a budget, so that's kind of the whole purpose of this project. There's many, many videos out there of how to build these, but every time I see them, they have their own shop and their own table saw, which I would have loved to have. I had to cut these out with a skill saw. So I just want to show how easy it can actually be done with a little bit of investment at home or a condo. So let's give it a quick shot. Okay, one quick thing we're gonna do, and this is just me being a perfectionist a little bit, but if we're gonna mate to these sides, you want it to be as clean as possible. Now, this isn't gonna be perfect, that's for sure. We'll get into that later of how we fix that. You know, you can't expect this to be exact, but you want to get it as best you can, which is why I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna start kind of, if you look closely, like see the little piece sticking out there, and you know, maybe just some little pieces around there. You know, nothing crazy, but that's a little off right there. And of course, there's a bunch of mess from the cut there, and just stuff like that. So you know, you don't have to do this. I just happen to have the right tool, so I'm just gonna take a quick moment to do that before I start joining all the sides up. Okay, everybody who's actually checking this out, we're back. Now it's time for me to attach the side pieces, but what I did is I like to pre-tap. Now, I don't have those special pre-tapper drill bits or whatever, so what you really, all you really have to do is you start out with a good sized bit, you know, mainly the size of the head of the screw, and then go with a smaller bit right through the middle, and you can see it just kind of bites through. And it just makes life a lot easier when you're putting it in, because you want it to match up as close as possible. This is particle board, so it has a tendency, it can split really easy, and I don't know, it just makes life a lot easier. Of course, at the same time too, you also want to use a impact drill for this. A standard drill doesn't really do the job right. A standard drill is designed to drill things, not screw things in. Impact is really the way to go. Now, at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to run through fast forward mode and just try to get these frames all ready to go. So here we go. Okay, so I just wanted to check in with a few things. As you can see, we have the main table mold is pretty much done. And if you look closely, you can see I got a lot of stuff that's off. You can see I kind of went through on my screw right there. You know, that's of course over. And basically, it doesn't really need to be perfect. It just needs to be when the time comes that you go to actually fill in the epoxy, you got to make sure that this base is level. Now, the table itself is going to be about 2 inches thick, which is why I cut these at 3, because I figure that gives you about 2 inches, gives you a little bit overage so you can, you know, work a little bit better. So basically this, it may require a little fine tuning when it comes to when it's time to pour the epoxy, but you're gonna have to do that anyway. You have to level it properly, and you have to do the best you can on that, because once you pour, you can't touch it, you can't move it. It's just basically that's the end. You need to go to bed for 5 days or so, because it's gonna take a while. So onto the smaller frame, and then we're just gonna do some you do some caulking in here. One of the recommendations I took was to use black, just so you can see it better. But yeah, so that's basically the few things we're going to finish up for the day, because we want to let the caulking dry. And yeah, and then we'll pick it up for next week. All right, so we've just finished epoxying all the crevices in preparation for when everything else comes, and you can see here, now it was recommended to use black so you can kind of see better what you're doing, but I don't know. And the other part is too, this one company, this tube I bought, or maybe it's because I have this crappy thing, it wouldn't puncture it, so I had to make this huge hole, which means I couldn't just feed it in nice and tight. And mainly I didn't want to go back to Home Depot, so here we are. Now, it's a little off, okay, because of all this, but I think overall